The New York Jets search for a quarterback is underway after the team officially announced they are parting ways with Aaron Rodgers, and one Jets insider already has the team linked to two polarizing options at the quarterback position. We'll break that down and much more, all coming up here on a Friday evening / Valentine's Day edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Friday, February 14th, 2025. A lot to get into today. We'll cover that and much more, all coming up here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Before we get into anything, make sure you smash that like button. You are subscribed to the channel. Completely free. Helps us grow significantly. You guys are the best. Can't thank you enough. Like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Completely free. Helps us grow a lot. Trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the draft. We're trying to get to 3,000 by the start of the 2025 season. Please hit subscribe, like the video, completely free. Helps us grow. And then the paid way to support the show, which helps just as much, is gifting memberships. Throw the ticker on down below. Our membership raffle: Joe Klecko signed jersey, Mark Gastineau signed jersey, Bill Parcells signed photo, free item from the merch store, and a channel emoji among the prizes we're giving away in this month's membership raffle. Yes, I did put a poll at the top of the chat for those who are interested. I hopefully want to do a draft party for all 3 days, so I want to see if you guys are interested here. 15 votes so far. 87 of you say yes, I will watch. 13 of you now, say no, I won't watch. So please vote at the top of the chat. Really want to receive your input on that. I'm planning on doing a draft watch party if you guys are interested, with a ton of guests. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate you as always. Any questions you want answered or you're just curious about, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call in a show, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Let's say what's up to everyone. Our guy Jimmy Jets is in the building, who's in second place in our membership raffle. Jimmy, appreciate you tuning in. Caden in the building. Caden, good to see you. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the house. Caden's interested in the draft party. Caden, I appreciate you as always. Michael, channel member in the building. Michael, good to see you. I'm definitely thinking the Jets need to go ahead and steal that young man from Pittsburgh. You're talking about Justin Fields here. We'll get into the report from ESPN's Rich Cimini regarding the Jets' search for a quarterback and them being linked to both Kirk Cousins and Justin Fields. Let's see our guy Greg Rallo in the house. Greg, good to see you. I appreciate you as always. Caden says, "Don't know what's better, you doing a draft watch party or Jets drafting Dart? Which round are they drafting Dart in, Caden? Then I'll tell you." I'll get back to you there. Appreciate you as always. Greg wants Dart. Jackson Dart hype, I'm telling you guys right now, is through the roof. It is through the roof, the hype for Jackson Dart. Jimmy says, "I wonder for what Atlanta would want for Kirk." Jimmy, the whole thing is if the Jets were to get Kirk Cousins, it would be because he's cut and the Jets sign him to the vet minimum. That is the only way they get Kirk Cousins in the building. Caden says, "Nice sweatshirt." Caden, appreciate you rocking Jets. There it is. We'll try to maneuver our way through the mic. Jets hoodie. Appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't know. It seemed to be a big hit. Yeah, you say you like it. A lot of people at school like the sweatshirt, so I think it might be my first time actually wearing it. Happy you like it. Speaking of sweatshirts, speaking of merch, upcoming soon, a new merch drop. We have some secondary logos that we'll be launching. So when that all gets launched, I'm aiming for next week. I hope to get that done, and I'll release it to you guys. And then if you're in the Discord, you get first dibs and all that. Any channel advice you guys want to know, join the Discord in the description down below. Throw it there. Any advice, any guests you want to see on the show, anything you want to see on the show, throw it. You can even throw it in the chat right now, and I'll keep it in mind. I have a whole notepad of things I know you guys want to see, and we're going to try to make that happen because you guys are the ones who keep the show upright, and you do that by smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel, which is completely free. So you guys are the best. Our Chiefs fan in the building, King Jamie the Mad. King Jamie, good to see you. I appreciate you as always. Leanie in NC is in the building. She's in our membership raffle. Leanie, appreciate tuning in as always. King Jamie the Mad, what are the chances the Jets make moves to get Dart? Which round? They're not gonna draft him in the first round. I don't think they're gonna draft him in the first round at all. Morrow in the building, and listen to Morrow, guys. Subscribe, completely free. Helps us as always. Morrow, you're the best. Appreciate you tuning in. Greg says big mistake if they want to trade up for Ward. I think it's a big mistake if they want to go ahead and trade up for anyone. I don't view any player in this year's draft as the Jets need to go up and trade for them. I don't think that's the case with anyone here. John Hepburn, our guy Hep in the house. Hep, good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Caden says Fields is garbage, barely better than Milrow. Don't get fooled, and I bet you Glenn won't take on Fields. Hey, we don't know. We don't know what Glenn's going to want to take on here. Fields is an interesting one. I guess we're going to dive into that topic right now. Let's throw the overlay on. So ESPN's Rich Cimini linked the Jets to both Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins as potential options for the quarterback position for the Jets in 2025. And that I have it in the title. They're both polarizing options. For some reason, some people like Kirk. A lot of people hate him. I'm in the boat of hating him. Don't want to touch that. And then same thing with Fields. A lot of people like him. A lot of people strongly dislike him. So I'm gonna guess. I guess I'll start with Kirk Cousins here. I don't want Kirk Cousins here, guys, and under any circumstance next season. I mean, he had an extremely poor 2024 season, coming off an Achilles tear. He was arguably more immobile than Aaron Rodgers does, and was last season at least, and we know how bad Aaron Rodgers looked moving around the pocket, so that's certainly not pretty. Overall, his arm didn't look great either. He really, really suffered from that Achilles injury. And let's keep in mind here, he's no spring chicken. He's not in his 20s. He's not even in his early 30s. He's in his late 30s. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 37 years old. Arm appeared shot last season, could barely move in the pocket. Kirk Cousins is not someone I want to target. I mean, he started 5 games with the he was their week 1 starter for the Falcons last season. Started 5 games. Then he had a 1-9 touchdown interception ratio, something like that. Then they benched him for Michael Penix, who was the number 8th overall pick over there in Atlanta. Kirk ultimately finished the year 18-16 touchdown ratio, most interceptions in the NFL, and he played in only 14 games. So he turned the ball over. He couldn't throw the ball downfield, and he was immobile. Sounds like 3 things I do not want to touch at all. I mean, 2.7 big time throw rate, not much. And then the second highest turnover worthy play rate. So Kirk Cousins is not someone I want to go near under any circumstance. The positive that Rich Cimini outlined why the Jets would want to covet Kirk Cousins, 2 reasons that make sense. That he's a team guy. And let's keep in mind, the Jets tried throwing a bag at Kirk Cousins a few years ago and they couldn't get him. That's another interesting. The Jets and Kirk Cousins have they're not strangers to each other. Well, anyways, the 2 reasons Rich Cimini said he expects the Jets to want to covet Kirk is you would get, if he were to come here, you'd get him on the vet minimum because he would be cut by Atlanta, and he's a team guy. Those are the 2 reasons. However, you don't get Tyrod Taylor on a vet minimum, but I think he's going to give you a lot more than Kirk Cousins will, and he's a team guy. There are a lot of options I would take over Kirk Cousins. A lot of names. You guys throw me a name in the chat. I'll tell you if I would like them over Kirk Cousins. Throw any random name you want to see in the world. I am not touching 37-year-old Kirk Cousins with a 6-foot pole. I'm not. I am not going near that. I don't care if it's for the vet minimum. I'd rather give Justin Fields a couple $1 million per season and then go after Kirk Cousins as a vet minimum. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Do you guys want to go near Kirk Cousins? I just don't see why the Jets would want to do it. Now, I don't think moving on from Aaron Rodgers, I think it's crazy for people who are saying moving on from Aaron Rodgers is automatically a tank year. I think that's an asinine take. I don't think they're automatically punting on next season without bringing back Aaron Rodgers, but I think bringing in Kirk Cousins indicates the Jets are officially punting on 2025 because that shows what Rich Cimini outlined. They're just going for someone who's cheap. And you could throw the team guy in there as well, but you have that with Tyrod Taylor on your roster. That literally just indicates the Jets want to trot the cheapest option out on the field who has been a starter before in the NFL. That's what I think bringing Kirk Cousins in here as a starter shows me. That's what it shows me. I'm going to move over to Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I mean, since it was a lot of people started to believe Aaron Rodgers would be gone after this season, so week 10 Fields became really a trending topic within the fan base. The idea was, and this is the whole reason I want Fields to, he's shown flashes and he has a high ceiling. And with the right coaching staff, you don't know what he could achieve. You don't know what he could achieve because he hasn't had a legit coach. He's never been around a legit coaching staff. Arthur Smith as his OC, Matt Eberflus as his head coach, that whole offensive coaching staff, and Luke Getsy was the OC, I think, over his tenure in Chicago. Nope. Luke Getsy was Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach in Green Bay, funny enough. A funny little story there. He was Justin Fields' OC for a few seasons in Chicago. So he hasn't had a legit coaching staff. He showed flashes of potential. And, you never know what he could do. He's also on the young side. He's turning 26 in March. Dynamic athlete. He's able to run, get out of the pocket, make some plays. He could provide somewhat of, be somewhat of an electric player as a bridge option. I like Justin Fields. A lot of whether the Jets are going to sign Justin Fields or not, for me, comes down to what is he asking for. I think if you want to bring Justin Fields in here, I think the right price is a 1 to 2 year deal, about $4 million a season. 2 for 8, 1 for 4, 1 for 5, something like that. That's what I would throw at Justin Fields. I think that's the most I would be willing to pay for a quarterback like Fields. So no to Kirk, yes to Fields at the right price. I just think Fields has a lot of upside. Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins has no upside. I don't. I don't. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you all tuning in. Again, Kirk Cousins, there's no point. That just shows you're gone with 2025. You're done. There's no point of bringing Kirk Cousins in here. I put Kirk Cousins, guys, almost in the same tier of like Mac Jones, Josh Dobbs. I put him in that tier. I don't think Kirk Cousins is a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL at this age. I don't. So Fields, who's 22, is going to turn 26 in March, who has a ton of upside, is able to move. His accuracy, and his ability to throw downfield could certainly use some improvements. But he has upside. He's on the younger side. Give me Justin Fields on a 1 to 2 year deal. 2 for 10, 1 for 5, something like that. That's where I am. Any questions? Throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, please click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. DB94, appreciate you tuning in. Our Broncos fan, a draft watch along would be sick. I already watch multiple. One more won't hurt. DB94, appreciate it. As always, 86 if you want to see a draft watch party, so vote at the top of the poll. If you haven't already, I see 39 of you watching on YouTube. Appreciate it, but only 23 likes. 16 of you have not hit the like button. Completely free, helps us grow a lot. We're only 2 subscribers away from 1,600. Let's get there on the show, guys. Hit subscribe, completely free, helps us grow. Hep says Bill Parcells might want to talk to you, Connor. Hep, I have had contact with some people within Bill Parcells' camp a long, long time ago. I'd say about a few months ago. Nothing ever materialized, but hopefully I'll let you know. I might reach back out and see what I can try to work out there, Hep. I would freaking love to talk to Bill Parcells. Best coach in Jets history, one of the best coaches of all time. Imagine Bill Parcells on the show, guys. That would be insane. John B., channel member in the house. John, appreciate you tuning in. Big mistake that they didn't settle with Rodgers. Big mistake. Watch it blow up in our face when Rodgers takes another team to the playoffs. It's not a big mistake, John B. You want to know why? You don't pay a 43-year-old, 42, who's going to be 42 in December. He's 41 now. You don't pay him $63 million in 2026 to be your starting quarterback because this isn't an all-in year. There's no guarantee, too. There's people who are saying, oh, my God, blah, blah, blah. You're automatically going to go to the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers. Now moving off from him is punting. There's a lot more to the story, but you just won 5 games with the guy. So I think it is the right decision not to pay him $63 million in 2026 to be your quarterback when he was a bottom 10 guy, statistically speaking. Also, when you watched him for the first 12 games, it said so. People who wanted Rodgers back all got hung up on the, oh my God, you took Miami to overtime. You beat them in week 18. You beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. 3 games. 3 games. That is the reason why people want Aaron Rodgers back. They just automatically forget about the other 14 where he looked like absolute crap. Tired of it. Tired of it. So no, John, I'm going to disagree with you here. I think it is the right decision. I think it's a great decision by Aaron Glenn and Darren Mushi to move off Aaron Rodgers. I think he's ultimately going to retire. If he doesn't get a starting job, I don't see him getting a backup job. I think he's going to retire when all's said and done. That's where I am. Tyson, we are getting Carr, not my choice. Ugh. Carr is like Cousins, a little younger. What is Derek Carr, 34? 33. Derek Carr. Ugh. That name just reeks. Come on. I would, again, him and Cousins are in that same tier. I would take so many names over Derek Carr. Another guy who was practically benched at the end of the last season for Spencer Rattler, who wasn't healthy at all, inconsistent, was so inaccurate. Ugh, I am not touching Derek Carr whatsoever. At that point, like, everyone's talking about all these free agent options. Kirk Cousins, yeah, I would add Derek Carr at the right price as a backup next season. I would. But at this point, I just want at this point, give me Tyrod Taylor as the starter, and then you draft someone at this point because the free agent names besides Justin Fields and who's the other? Really, Justin Fields. That's kind of it. Maybe Cooper Rush is the other free agent name I was thinking of. Like, other than those two guys, then the list is just terrible. So at that point, just draft someone and trot Tyrod Taylor out there because that's your best option at this point. I think if you want to win, because you're not winning any games with Kirk Cousins next season. You're not winning any games with Derek Carr. So you have someone on your roster who you could win with when he's on the field. You might as well draft someone next season on day three. Take some day two, day three. Take somewhat of a flyer. Have them sit behind Tyrod as the backup, and then you have Jordan Travis as your third stringer. I think that puts the Jets in one of the best places to win. I really do. Just because, like, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Tyrod Taylor is better than both of those guys. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says about Tyrod Taylor's injury history. I would take Tyrod Taylor next season over Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr any day of the week. Any day of the week. Guys, let's keep this in mind. Kirk Cousins threw the most interceptions in all of football last year, and he played in 14 games. 14 games that he threw the most interceptions, was so inaccurate, more immobile than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Derek Carr is the same as Kirk Cousins. They're the same player. Literally, they are the same players. So Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, freaking shoot me. Oh my God. Those names scare me so much. Jay says, I hate Cousins, would much rather take a flyer on Fields or Jameis. Jameis is another name I look for. I don't want Jameis as a starter, though. Get him in there as a backup, locker room guy. If you don't draft a guy and Tyrod your starter, then you're going to see Jameis at some point in the season. Why not? He could be fun. Media would love him. Fans would love him. Wouldn't hate Jameis Winston at all. Sharon in the building. Sharon, good to see you. I appreciate you tuning in here on the show, as always. Caden says avoid Kirk. I just don't see why the Jets would like him. Oh, he's a cheap option. He's a cheap option. Okay. Tyrod Taylor's due to make what, 16? No, like $6 million next season? Let's go to over the cap. Tyrod Taylor's not due to make much next season. What's his cap number? Like 6 or 7 million? 6 million. 6.8 million is his cap number next season. He's a cheaper option. He's in the roster. Players love him. Why not trot Tyrod Taylor out there? See what you could get from him. And then you have someone waiting to back him up. I'm telling you, that is the Jets' best option next season. Ideally, I think Fields and Tyrod, and then you draft a guy is probably the best case scenario. But I would freaking love Fields and Tyrod just alone. That would be so super, super fun. Let's see. Hep says modern NFL need a running quarterback, so when they clear out the middle, he can run up the middle. There were so many plays last year, Hep, it's not even funny, where the Jets would have had first downs if Aaron Rodgers wasn't their quarterback. If Tyrod Taylor was in there, they would have had so many first downs because it's the 3rd and 4 plays. It's those 3rd and 4 plays where it's, oh my God, just please take off and get the first down. Well, you can't do that with Aaron Rodgers. You can't do that with Derek Carr's immobile. You can't do that with Derek Carr. You can't do that with Kirk Cousins. You know who you cannot do that with? Both Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. Both of those guys, because they're able to run, extend plays, and take off. That's what they're able to do. Also, Jordan Travis was mobile in college, if you even want to go that far. All the guys they would consider drafting, Kyle McCord needs some work on his athleticism, but Will Howard from Ohio State, very athletic. Jalen Milroe from Alabama, one of the most athletic players I've ever watched coming out of college, a freak athlete. So you need a mobile quarterback. I agree 1,000%, and you're not getting that with Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr at all. DB94, do you respect Fields as a passer, faster Cordell Stewart to me? I'm not gonna I don't think he is a top 15. I think he's a below average passer when all is said and done. But I think if you're gonna move to a more run heavy offense and Tanner Engstrand is wanting, build out these plays where he doesn't have to be Superman, throw the ball 50 yards downfield, and you could do dink and dunk with Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley on RPO screenplays, kind of what the Lions just did with Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown this past few seasons. I don't think you need him to have the strongest arm in the world. I don't. So, yes, I don't think fondly of his passing. I don't think he's an average passer in this league, but it's not the end-all be-all for me when it comes to looking at Justin Fields. That's where I am. So yeah, no Kirk Cousins, please, no Derek Carr. At this point, you're gonna want to go. You're gonna want to go there. Just freaking Tyrod Taylor. At that point, Tyrod Taylor and draft a guy. Where are we? Cadence is Kirk or Minshew. Minshew's interesting. He has a lot of experience. Again, I'm not a big fan of it. He's on the older side. I think he's 31. What is Gardner Minshew? He has to be 31. 28. I thought he was older for some reason. So he's still in his 20s. He's not mobile. He's not mobile though. He didn't look great this past season. Not interested in Gardner Minshew. At that point, I would just take again, if you're gonna go, I would take someone mobile in free agency. If you want to go a veteran free agent at that point, just give me Marcus Mariota. He'll at least be mobile, exciting. Someone like that. Jameis Winston. No to any of the mobile guys who were late 20s or in their 30s. No. Michael says Zach Wilson. I would not take Zach Wilson over Kirk Cousins. No. Jack Dooley says, how about Davis Mills? Oh my God. Davis Mills might be one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen play in my lifetime. That 2021 Texans team. Oh my God. Remember that when he was their quarterback? Horrific. Heck no to Davis Mills. Under any circumstance, stay away from Davis Mills. GVH in the building. Kirk used the Jets, and it's hard to get over that he played poorly last year. Did Fields improve each year? As I believe I heard somewhere, like the idea of having to worry about Hall or Fields running. Yeah, Fields improved last year. I mean, from an overall record standpoint, yes, because he went 4-2 in 6 starts, which is pretty impressive. Their offense wasn't great. Their defense got them lucky, but he was able to play competent football to keep them in games, ultimately leading them to a 4-2 start on the season. So, yeah, again, you have him and Breece Hall in the backfield. You're able to run a running gun read option style offense while doing dink and dunk screenplays. Because you think losing Devontae Adams, you're going to get a few receivers in here. Josh Palmer in free agency, maybe Tim Patrick, maybe Keenan Allen. Probably going to draft a guy or two. Still, Garrett Wilson's really your only main legit wide receiver. You bring in Fields, you shift to more of a run-heavy offense. That's what you could do. So Fields and Breece Hall in the backfield, 1,000%. I think that could be super exciting. I'm just thinking like Justin Fields and Braylon Allen and a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 1 push the pile type play. That could be so fun. You just have to worry about 2 threats, no matter who the running back is in for the Jets. You just have to worry about 2 threats when Fields is your quarterback. He's a dual threat player. That's who Justin Fields is. Cadence is Fields asking for at least $7 million a year. If he's asking for $7 million a year, nobody's giving that to him. The most I would pay him is $4 to $5 million. Caden, nobody is going to give Justin Fields at least $7 million a year. Tyson says I'd rather get Tannehill off the couch than Cousins. He's right up there. I would probably slightly prefer Cousins over Tannehill just because Cousins played this past season. But Tannehill's right next to Cousins based on what we saw from him last season. That just goes to show how much I despise of Kirk Cousins as a quarterback option for the Jets next season. Caden is Cam Ward a mobile quarterback? He's very mobile and he can throw the ball downfield. I think Cam Ward's a great quarterback. Is it worth giving up next year's first, this year's first, and a second to trade up to the number 2 overall pick to get him? No, not at all. But do I think he has the potential to be a solid NFL player? Yes. Manuel says I agree 100. I agree with you, Connor, 100%. Manuel, appreciate it as always. Appreciate you tuning in. Groove says you are so correct. Groove, appreciate you tuning in. Caden says get Riley Leonard an undrafted free agency. I think Riley Leonard is going to be picked in the 5th or 6th round. I don't think he's going to be an undrafted free agent. He can be in that category of the day 3 flyer you take at the quarterback position. He could. Tyson says he's not coming. My choice, Tyrod for 10 games, Carr for 7. We are 7-10, sneak into the playoffs and win the AFC Championship. I don't think you're going. If Derek Carr starts 7 games, you're not going 7-10. I mean 10-7. Excuse me. That's not the case. I don't think Derek Carr can win 7 games. Tyrod for 10 games makes sense. I think over 10 games, realistically speaking, Tyrod can go 5-5 in 10 games. I think that's fair. Because Tyrod's a 500 quarterback throughout his entire career. He can go 5-5 over 10 games. Problem is, you just need to play average football. Like, you get Tyrod Taylor for 14 games with a competent backup. Even 12 games. You go 12 games with Tyrod Taylor with a competent backup. You can get into the playoffs. You can. And that's the case. Imagine Tyrod Taylor, though. You guarantee Tyrod Taylor for 17 games. Imagine that. Then you could. The ceiling's high if you really go at that point. You want to go. You can go. 17 guaranteed games with Tyrod Taylor. Then you're talking about potentially 11, 12 wins. But I mean, again, Tyrod Taylor 12 games, competent backup for 5. I think you can win. Derek Carr as a backup, I would take at the right price. The problem is, I don't want to rely on him to start 7 games. I'd rather just draft a guy. Eddie says Weeb Eubank is the best coach in Jets history. Bill is a close second. I know everyone's going to say Weeb Eubank because he was the head coach when the Jets won the Super Bowl. But I mean, from a record standpoint, from an overall coaching career standpoint, from how he completely came in and revitalized the franchise, made such a big impact on this organization, I think Bill Parcells is number 1. Jets flight plan in the building. We need a mobile quarterback. Every name I've listed is a mobile quarterback who I want the Jets to covet. JoJo says start Tyrod and Jameis back up. I would be okay with that plan. I wouldn't hate it. Jack Dooley, who would you sign to back up Tyrod? Jordan Travis had a setback with his injury, so it's unreasonable to assume we enter season with him as a quarterback too. Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. Trying to think of some other names. Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo. Draft a guy. A lot of options out there to be a backup next season. Grove says go for the backup at Detroit. Hendon Hooker for a day 3 pick, I would absolutely love. Just because he's been healthy now for the past few. He was healthy last season. Didn't see too much of him. Give me Hendon Hooker as a backup or a 3rd string option next season. I think that could be super exciting. He knows the Tanner Engstrand's offensive system. Was in Detroit for the past few years. Really was a star college player before suffering that awful injury in his senior year, which didn't allow him to be a Heisman finalist or be a 1st-round pick. Hendon Hooker is if Jordan Travis was healthy and had slightly of a higher ceiling and was a more poised passer, in my opinion. I would love to trade for Hendon Hooker. Sharon, sign Fields and trade for Olave, make Garrett happy. Signing Fields would certainly make Garrett happy. Trading for Olave, I would love to do just because you need to add another receiver with Devontae Adams probably leaving. But what's the price for Chris Olave? What's the price? He was a 1st-round pick just a few years ago. A 2nd and a 4th, a 2nd and a conditional 3rd, something like that. What is the price for Chris Olave is my question if you're going to go out and make a trade for him. Caden says Jets playbook was so predictable. It's because Aaron Rodgers was running the offense. That's why. There's no predictability with Tanner Engstrand's system, what we saw from 8 years of his play calling, first off. Also, and what Detroit has done the past few seasons. It's because Aaron Rodgers was running the offense. That's why. Tyson says I'm sensing ageism. Based on what? I said I want a mobile quarterback who's proven they can win over the past few years and play competent football. Kirk Cousins has not done that. Derek Carr has not done that. They haven't been able to stay healthy. They're not mobile. Boom. There you go. It's not ageism. Joey in the building. Trade for Kyler Murray. I would like to trade for Kyler Murray, but what is the price? What's the price for Kyler Murray? Is it the 7th overall pick? If it's the 7th overall pick this year for Kyler Murray, I'm making that deal. My concern is they're going to ask for probably 2 firsts, which I think is fair. I just don't know if the Jets are willing to give up that much for Kyler Murray. Because he's shown flashes of potentially being a franchise guy. He's shown those flashes. The problem is there's no sure thing, which you're getting in Kyler Murray because he's been up and down. Project Prospect with Dom C. Our guy Dom C in the house. Dom, good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Appreciate your support. You're on the program. Not true. Watch. I think Fields will net 2 years, 20 to 22 million from someone. Who's going to take Justin Fields as their starting quarterback next season and pay him that much money after Mike Tomlin pivoted off of him 6 games in for Russell Wilson? Why? What tells you that? I think he's lucky if he gets $5 to $7 million. I think if $7 million, I think is hit for $7 million in one season. I think he's hitting the jackpot for Justin Fields next year. James Rodriguez, appreciate you tuning in. How about Drew Lock? Maybe as a backup. I don't want him as a starter though at all. I mean, he played some games with the Giants last year. Let's pull up his numbers. Pro Football Reference. Drew Lock. He's bounced around for a long time, dudes, with the Broncos, with the Seahawks. Let's see, last season with the Giants, 5 starts, 1-4. Now, it's hard to judge Drew Lock, like his pure record with the Giants last season, because they're just overall a terrible team. But here it is, Drew Lock. Let's see, so 59% completion, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Let's see how old he is. 28 as a backup, fine. Definitely no as a starter. Mike says, just draft a rookie, get him an offensive line, and be done with it. Under any circumstance, I don't care if they get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart. I don't think they're going to get any of those guys. But even if they do, I don't want him coming in and starting right away. I don't. You have to let him sit for a little. I don't think you can just bring him in right away. That just shows the Jets haven't learned from their previous mistakes. Let him sit for a little while, in my opinion. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in here. As always, we just hit 1.6K subscribers. Appreciate it. We're trying to get to 2,000 by the draft. So hit subscribe, like the video, share, completely free. Helps us grow significantly. You guys are the best. Any questions, keep them coming in the chat. If you want to call into the show, put the pin comment in the chat. We'll get to your calls in a little while. Emmanuel says, I think Fields over here is a good fit. Mobile and could improve as a passer with Garrett Wilson. Basically what I just said, Emmanuel. So echoing what I said, appreciate that as always. Connection with Garrett Wilson is able to move. You can shift to a more run-heavy offense with Justin Fields and Breece Hall. That could be really fun. Unlock more gaps for Breece Hall. Make the offense overall just less predictable. That's what you get with Justin Fields. Dicker the Kicker in the house. I appreciate you tuning in as always. Says, tell me about McCord. Dicker the Kicker. I am a huge fan of Kyle McCord here. Athleticism could use some work. He's prone to a lot of turnover where he plays when he's pressured, but I'll pull my overall scouting report here on Kyle McCord. Where was I? Broke this down yesterday. So positives, let's keep in mind, I watched 2 of his games, Miami and Cal. Basically broke down every play. Positives, quick and snappy release, above average mechanics, beyond accurate pocket passer, elite ball placement, throwing in the pocket, great understanding of when to add velocity, touch, and layers to his ball. Negatives, mechanics, and decision-making, struggle when under pressure. Athleticism isn't too impressive, prone to too many turnover-worthy plays. I have a 3rd-round grade on him. I would take him late day 2, early day 3. That's what I do with Kyle McCord. I'm a big fan of his overall, and how he could fit with the Jets. Where's number 6? Because of Mark Sanchez. Grew up a big Jet fan. Played in Syracuse. Used to playing in the cold. I would love Kyle McCord here. Joey says, we did that. Joey said trade for Kyle Murray. Just threw that in twice. Appreciate you, Joey. Leany and NC wants another raffle ticket. Leany, I appreciate the gifted membership. That went to our guy J3 Siblings. That's another raffle ticket for you. Bill Parcells signed photo, Mark Gastineau signed jersey, I was about to say Marty Lyons, Joe Klecko signed jersey. If you guys want in on that, every membership you gift will get you in on that, and every $2.99 super chat. You guys are the best. My comp for Kyle McCord, by the way, Dicker the Kicker, was Jared Goff, if you wanted that as well. Tyson says Jimmy G is trash. Tyson as a backup, I think he's a viable option. Certainly not as a starter. As a starter, I don't think he's a viable option, but as a backup, I wouldn't mind it at all. Tyson says, all right, kids, have a wonderful night. Peace. Tyson, appreciate you tuning in. Have a good night, my man. Hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day. Jets Worldwide says, why did Mike Tomlin switch from Fields to Wilson? Jets Worldwide, because they wanted Fields to be the starter right out of the gate overall from training camp. It wasn't the right decision, though, overall. It wasn't. So Mike Tomlin probably ultimately regrets that. Honestly, I didn't pay too close attention to the Steelers last season, but that's overall my understanding. And I understand why that's a concern, that pivoting off Justin Fields for Russell Wilson shows that maybe they didn't have the most confidence in Justin Fields to run that offense. Jack Dooley basically just said what I just said. Says Tomlin switching to Wilson doesn't mean Tomlin made the right decision, though. 1000% agree. Swamp Ranger says, appreciate you tuning in. First off, the offensive coaches on this team do not look promising. Are you talking about, what are you concerned about with this offensive staff? Is it the experience? If so, I can talk you off a ledge. Clarify here in the chat what you're talking about, and I'll try to help you out here. Stephen T in the building. Stephen, appreciate you as always. Connor, hope you know how awesome your content is and how proud you should be of your work. Keep it up, Stephen. Appreciate you as always. You're the best. Caden, do you think the Jets could sign Javon Holland in free agency, or he'll get re-signed by the Dolphins because they just cut Fuller, the cornerback, too, and Raheem Mostert, I think you're trying to say, to possibly free up money for him? Javon Holland, he's a top safety. He's top safety for sure in free agency alongside Justin Reed. I would love him. I want a few safeties added to this room. You're going to basically need to bring in 4 new safeties next season. Pure signed, sealed, delivered. That's the bottom line there. 1000%. So you're going to need to bring in 4 new safeties next season. I think you get 2 in free agency, whether that's Justin Fields, Javon Holland, one of the 2 there. And then in the draft, Xavier Watts, RJ Mickens, Malachi Starks, if you really want to go early there. So a lot of names to look for at the safety position. Our guy Jets Flight Plan comes through with a $50 super chat. He gets a Jets chat. Jets Flight Plan. Appreciate the $50 super chat. Love the show. Keep grinding, my man. Means a lot. That is, I don't even know, 25 raffle tickets for you. I appreciate that. As always, your support means a ton here to the show. Like, share, and subscribe, completely free, but Super Chat's also another great way to help support the show, call into the show, another super fun way. We'll get to your calls in a little. You can do that by clicking the pinned comment in the chat. Keep the questions coming, though. We'll get to those as well. Dino says, Connor, what do you think about Martinez? He looked good in the limited reps he had. Dino, Adrian Martinez isn't an NFL caliber starter, struggled in the UFL a little with ball security, and too many injuries. So Adrian Martinez isn't a viable option for the Jets. I would basically take every free agent available over Adrian Martinez next year. He has no future with the Jets. Let's see. Where are we? Swamp Ranger says QB coach is a former running back. Wide receivers coach has been here 3 years outside of Garrett Wilson. Has done anything. Going to be hard to fix quarterback mechanics with a coach who is a former running back. I think Tanner Engstrand's going to play a huge role in the development there, knowing that he's played the quarterback position before. Darren Mougie's played quarterback before. I understand the concern with the Charles London hire, but let's look at the bigger picture. Let's look at the offensive coordinator who's coming from the most modern day / high-powered offensive system in the entirety of the NFL. Also, 8 years of play calling experience, 2 different stints with the Harbaugh family. That's the bigger picture that I look at from the offensive side of the ball. Sean Jefferson, wide receivers coach, not too much to make there. Garrett Wilson seems to really, really like him. So happy he brought him back. Garrett Wilson liked him. You got to do everything you can really to please Garrett Wilson overall. Quarterbacks coach Charles London, though, like I said, I think that's fair to be concerned about. Jack Dooley says, Connor, how do you feel about the team drafting Tyler Warren at 7? I'm sure you've talked about this before, but somewhat new to your channel, man. First off, Jack, I'm so happy you found the channel. Great to have you. Basically on here every night around 8 p.m., 7 days a week, so stay tuned. I appreciate you finding the channel, and I appreciate you tuning in on the show. Tyler Warren drafting at 7, I think, is a bit of a reach, but depends who's really on the board. If Tim McMillan and Mason Graham are on the board, no one wants to come up, and the new regime really, really, really likes Tyler Warren, why not? He's a pass catcher. The Jets are going to really need new not only tight ends, but a lot of pass catchers. Tyler Conklin at the tight end room, pending free agent. Kenny Yeboah, pending free agent. Jeremy Ruckert, I think, deserves to be cut. That's my opinion. So you're talking about completely revamping the tight end room. You're going to need a lot of new tight ends. Tyler Warren, bigger build, 250 pounds. I think he's 6'6". Let me get his 6'6". Yeah, they have him at 6'6", 260, 257 to be precise there. So again, it depends overall who's on the board. If you're telling me Mason Graham and Ted McMillan are off the board alongside the usual names, and no team wants to trade up and the new regime really feels confident in Tyler Warren, why not? It's a position of need, and he's a solid pass catcher for sure. Jets Worldwide, appreciate you tuning in. Sid Howard and Jordan Travis behind Tyrod Taylor. Where are you going to draft Will Howard? Will Howard, though? I don't want to take him in the second round. I don't. Maybe late third round or early fourth. I don't want to reach for Will Howard though, although I really, really like him. In the right round, I think Will Howard is a great player. You're able to implement a pro level offensive system because he was just playing in a pro level offensive system with Ohio State. Chip Kelly obviously is the offensive coordinator that there, and now he's in Vegas as Pete Carroll's OC. So you draft him in the right round. Then Jordan Travis, you just hope to try to catch lightning in a bottle with him. Just hope you get anything out of him. So, again, you have to go into this whole Jordan Travis situation. I know I've said it so many times, but it's the same thing. You have to go in with no expectations whatsoever and view everything you get as a bonus. So on Ranger Connor, did you know Garrett Wilson leads all wide receivers in the NFL with fumbles since entering the NFL in 2022? 28 points scored off 6 fumbles, with 3 of those losing us a 1-score game. So on Ranger, I did not know that, but on the flip side, Garrett Wilson's also been quarterback proof. He's had 1,000 yards all 3 of his seasons in the NFL. I think with 9 different quarterbacks, he survived incompetent quarterback play, and he's been an elite weapon for the Jets. So you can find those stats with anyone, but that's the way I look at Garrett Wilson as a player overall. Harlan. Nobody knows if Jordan Travis will be ready to play for his injuries. Haven't played in several years now. You can't expect anything out of Jordan Travis, guys. You really can't. Hennessy Heisman says Connor about to give the Talking Jet Show competition. Hennessy Heisman, appreciate you tuning in as always. Matt Ryan and Green Bean, they're all great Tuesday nights, and then they do the bonus shows. Monday night, Ryan with Dom. Wednesday night, Seago and Green Bean, and then Thursday afternoon, I think I got that right. Jeremy and Matt O'Leary. So sub to all those guys if you haven't already. I'm sure you have, but they're some of the best Jets content creators you will ever find out on the internet. So definitely check them out if you haven't already. 100 I2, Connor, what are your thoughts on this brainheaded decision to release Aaron Rodgers? You're calling it brainheaded, so you're probably not gonna like my take here on 100 I2, but I thought it was the right decision. I think you move off of him just because you want to be able to implement Tanner Angstrand's offense right away, and I don't think you could do that with Aaron Rodgers. We're talking about someone who's basically a bottom 10 quarterback this past season, who I know there's more to the picture, but you just won 5 games with. I think it's smart to move off of him now, pay him the $49 million before owing him $63 in 2026. That's where I am. Cardinal and Jets did not consider drafting a quarterback before round 4. Late round 3, early round 4 is where I am, Harlan. Certainly not in round 2, though. I don't think unless you get back you somehow make a trade to get back late into the second round, then darts there at the end of the second round, I'll consider it. But other than that, no. All right. I think we're all caught up in the chat. Any more questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, click the pinned comment in the chat. We'll take your calls in a minute. We're going to take a quick break. Get your questions in. We'll get to those if you want to call into the show. Pinned comment in the chat. All coming up here after a quick break on NY Flight Jets Talk. Stay tuned. Friday, February 14th, 2025, a Valentine's Day edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Connor Long. We will be back shortly. All right, we are back here on NY Flight Jets Talk Friday, February 14th, 2025. Appreciate you all sticking with us. I am Connor Long, your host, producer, founder, owner, everything here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate you guys. As always, we'll stay on here a little longer. Any questions you want, you want to get insight on, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call one of the show, click the pinned comment here at the top of the chat. Let's go over to the phone lines. Our guy Hep is up first here on the program. Hep, how are you?
Hey Connor, how you doing? My camera's a little wonky. That's why I got the still there.
Oh, you're
But
good.
yeah, but anyway, I've been hearing rumors about the Jets going up to number one to try to get Ward. You hear anything about this? And what do you think it would cost? I don't think it's going to be as expensive this year as opposed to other years, but who knows? I'm asking you that.
Hep, where I am right now is there's been a lot of speculation, people saying the Jets are going to go up and try to get Shedeur Sanders. Here's the thing. This way I'm going to phrase it. Unless the new regime is absolutely in love with Cam Ward, in my opinion, if I'm Darren Muji, I don't think it is worth trading up for any player in this year's draft, especially the
Yeah.
number one overall pick. I think what it's going to cost at least, I'd say this year's one. So obviously pick 7.
Yeah.
This year's 2, next year's 1, and next year's 2. I think that's what it's going to
Ooh,
cost
that's
if you
too
want to get up to
expensive.
the number one overall pick.
Yeah,
Minimum.
that's way too expensive.
For
Way too
sure.
expensive for that. But I think you're taking running with Fields and Taylor. I think that's perfectly fine for a bridge year. And who knows? You could catch lightning in a bottle. You never know.
Exactly. And the whole thing is the other options aren't all that attractive. So you're not getting much more upside than Justin Fields, and you're also not getting much more like, for example, this is the way I'm gonna phrase it. Tyrod Taylor has been pretty much steady Eddie throughout his entire career. Like, you know what you're gonna get with him. There's not a
Exactly.
steep gap between his ceiling and a floor compared to a Justin Fields. Like, there's a gap between Justin Fields' floor and Justin Fields' ceiling. However, I'm not asking him to come in and play 17 games. I'm asking Tyrod Taylor to play 11 or 12 games, and which Tyrod Taylor plays 11 and 12 games. You could be 6-6. You can win. You can go 10-7 with Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. It is not the craziest thing in the world. I
Yeah.
think Justin Fields is a viable option to come in and start 5 or 6 games next season. You have that plan. I think he can go 10-7. It's not punting on next season, Hep, by
No.
automatically moving on from Aaron
No, I
Rodgers. It's
agree. I
simply
think
not.
it's more like a Moneyball situation.
Mhm.
You're just finding okay, we can't make you up. We can't get a star quarterback, so we'll make him up in the algorithm. We'll get couple of guys that we could fill in, possibly make it up.
For sure. Yeah, because again, you're not. I wish Tyrod Taylor though, because if he was healthy throughout his entire career, he never went through these injuries as a starter. You don't know. Tyrod Taylor, he had the ceiling when he was in his 20s to be a top 10 starter in the NFL. He just never lived up to the hype because every opportunity he got was riddled with injuries. That was the main problem with Tyrod Taylor. So you're telling me you put someone in Justin Fields behind him who has a ton of upside, who
Hmm.
you get them for $5 to $7 million, 1 year 5, 1 year 7,
Sure.
2 for 10, 2 for 17, something like that. Again, that's not punting on next season. Hep, one more question here before we let you go. Thoughts
Yeah.
on the decision by moving on from Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. I mean, what would it have
Love it.
cost us? What would it cost us next year?
$63 million if you kept him. A
Yeah,
joke.
and then there's a $35 million bonus we would have had to pay him this year coming up.
Correct. So
So
basically, upward around $90 million,
it,
190 to $100 million.
I
Insane.
mean, there's a statue back there, right? $95
Yep.
million statue. I mean, you might as well get your Kirk cousin and put him out there with a bird feeder on his neck. What the
Bet
hell?
minimum. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, come on. What's the difference? But anyway, good luck, Connor. You're doing good, bud.
Hep, appreciate it. Have a good night.
Okay.
Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, our guy Hep checking in here on the show. Hep, appreciate you calling in. Anyone else want to call into the show? Click the pin comment at the top of the chat. We'll be sure to get to you. And then any other questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those a little later on here on the program. Let's keep it rolling with your calls. One of our favorites is up here on the line. One of our most electric callers. It's the Lane Train up here on the
Hey
program.
Connor.
Lane, how you doing?
Oh hey Connor.
How you doing?
Yeah.
How
I
are you?
actually do want to talk about the draft. You
Mhm.
picked Cam Warren, but do you think that they'll get him, or do you get Winston, or do you get maybe a guy like let's say Warren Taylor?
Um, Lane, I think the only scenario the Jets could get Cam Ward is by trading up into the top 3. I don't think they're going to
Really?
do that. If he's there
That's a
at
lot.
7, you have to pull the plug and take him right away. The problem is, I think the chances of him being there at 7 are slim to none. So I like Cam Ward overall as a prospect. I just don't think he's worth giving up this year's 1, this year's 2, next year's 1, and next year's 2. I think
Why?
that's a little too steep of a charge.
Why though? Why do you want to do that? I mean, we have to see how he does going in to next year. Oh, what do you do with Taylor? What's his last name? Forgot his that played last year on the Jets. That was with the
Tyrod
Giants.
Taylor? Tyrod
Yeah,
Taylor.
yeah. What do you do with him? Do you trade him, or like what you did um with
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers, or do you keep him?
I think what you do with Tyrod Taylor Lane, it's an interesting scenario. I think you give him a competition. You give him a chance to compete for the starting job next season alongside a Justin Fields, a Jameis Winston, something like that. If I had to make a prediction today, I think he's the starting quarterback for the Jets week 1 of the 2025 season.
Extend their lease for a year rather than. I just did. I mean, honestly, I mean, I think that we didn't get Flores, but I mean, it's okay because we got like Aaron Glenn, and then we got two more people. Also, we got Aaron Glenn, and we also got a GM,
Darren
and
Bucci.
yeah, we got him, and we got another one also.
Tanner
Got,
Engstrand, I think
yeah,
is who
and
you
we
were.
got him also. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
hope that Moochie does good, and
Lane,
then
Lane, I appreciate you calling in. You got any final thoughts?
yeah, and yeah. So honestly, um, the way that I mean, hopefully. We'll see what happens in next year's draft. I mean, I think it was the mock draft that happened already, or does it
Mhm.
happen yet? Yeah, who do they? I don't know. They have everybody that they're spitting out to see who the Giants could draft. Also, I think that honestly, I think the Giants could get Will Johnson.
Okay. You want the
That's
Giants?
all my thoughts that I have. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next person.
Lane,
Thank you.
Lane, I
Thanks for
appreciate
coming.
you calling in as always. You're the best. Appreciate all your support here on the show. I don't think Will Johnson's gonna go to the Lions. I think the Jets trading up for Cam Ward are pretty slim, so that's where I am on your takes there. If you guys want to call into the show, click the pinned comment in the chat at the top of the chat. Any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll do our best to get to those. We're gonna wrap up here shortly, approaching here on a 1 hour show on Friday edition here on NY Flight Jets Talk. We have a lot of questions filled up there. But before we do so, let's go over to our next super chat. $5 from our guy, channel member, channel moderator, Chris J. Says, real music dropped this morning, Connor, not the halftime show garbage. Chris J, appreciate the $5. You won't let my take of thinking Kendrick Lamar was a solid halftime show. You won't let that take go, huh, Chris? I appreciate you, though. You're the best. Appreciate the $5. Guys, call into the show, pin comment in the chat. Final chance to get your questions in. We're going to wrap up here shortly. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel, completely free. Helps us grow so much. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL draft. Like I said, really, really, really cannot thank you guys enough for all your support here on the show. Jack Dooley comes in. He says, what are your thoughts on the Jets not eating all of Rodgers' full dead cap hit this year and spreading it out over this season and next? I'd almost rather bite the bullet now. It would be terrible. This year, Jack, I could not agree with you more. I've been very, very vocal on this. I think just eating all $49 million next season, calling it a poor move and moving on is best. Now they're going to try to do this thing. Well, okay, we eat $15 million this season, but then you have the $14 million this season, but then you have a $35 million cap hit looming over your head next year. That's the main issue. I would have preferred it more at this point if the 35 was this year and 14 next year. I don't want to save that cap hit for next season. The big majority of it. Just eat it all this season, bite the bullet, and move on, like you said. I was very, very vocal on that as they creeped up on a decision, Jack. 100 on YouTuber, how's he bottom 10 quarterback? LMAO using what metrics? Top 10 in both passing yards and touchdowns with pass protection issues and no run game. What was I going to say? 100 YouTuber finished 11th in passing yards and he finished 8th in touchdowns, I think it was. Let's keep in mind here, threw the ball 548 times, the second most in the league. Also, you're going to say, no, I see the next comment of don't use like other than statistics or whatever. I see that. I saw that somewhere down there. Also, what metrics, blah, blah, blah. Second most attempts you're prone to those that many yards and that many touchdowns. Bottom 10 quarterback in every single other metric except yards and touchdowns, literally. You use any other metric except yards and touchdowns, he was bottom 10. He was only top 10 in yards and touchdowns because he threw the ball the second most in the league. Also, Are you going to forget about the first 12 games of the season? Because at 100 iTuber, I think the decision that a lot of people are, oh my God, we're so mad. Why did we pivot off Aaron Rodgers? It's based on pure adrenaline after the last 3 games of the year. But you guys just automatically forget about the first 12 games of the year where he was absolutely incompetent. Thoughts there on the first 12 games of the season, the 100 iTuber. Katie says, I hope the Jets get I see it. RJ Mickens. You said seems like a cool dude. He's a great safety, high football IQ, good run stuffer. Wouldn't mind him in the 5th round. Son of former Jet Ray Mickens. He's someone you could pluck in the 5th or 6th round. I would love RJ Mickens. Down at the Shrine Bowl, met with the Jets actually. Where are we? All right, there we go. Jack, also, isn't it a little weird that our tight end coach is a former O-line coach and our O-line coach is a former tight ends coach? I heard, I don't have a ton of insight. I think Jeff Blasco is his name, the new tight end coach. I got to clarify that here quickly. Let's see, Jeff Blasco. Yes, Jeff Blasco is the new tight end coach. He was with McCarthy and he was with the Cowboys, excuse me. And then he's actually with the Packers. He was an assistant offensive line coach. I didn't know, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know too much about his background history of being an offensive line coach. But what I heard the whole thing with Steve Hyden was that his dream as a coach was to be an offensive line coach, although he played tight end in the league and was just the tight ends coach with the Lions. So I don't love it that he only has 1 year of being an assistant offensive line coach. That's the one concern, the inexperience there, him being only 1 year, like I said, as an assistant offensive line coach, but we'll see how it all pans out. I think that was a little quick decision, the fact that they fired Keith Carter earlier that day before hiring Steve Hyden. Little quick to it, in my opinion. Where are we in the chat? South Philly. Our guy wants in on the membership raffle. He gives 5 channel memberships and he gets a Jets chat. Jets. South Philly, can't thank you enough thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Ryan Tackrick, Pete DeTrillia, Brooklyn, Cartilo's Way, and JV Bronx DPL. You were all channel members thanks to South Philly. South Philly, that is 5 raffle tickets for you. Appreciate all your support here on the program. You are the best. Hennessy Heisman says Kirk Cousins could be cheap, but that's also just automatically giving up on next season. Someone who's 37 years old with the most interceptions among any quarterback last season in only 14 games. Immobile, can't throw the ball downfield. Hell no to Kirk Cousins. Jack Dooley, I like Xavier Watts in the 2nd round. Other names you're looking for at our 2nd pick, Connor. Donovan Smith, I think is his name, the last name, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Gray Zabel, the tackle out of North Dakota State, is another name to look out for who's really shined at the Senior Bowl. TJ Sanders, South Carolina, interior defensive lineman, some names I'd look out for. 100 iTuber, what other metrics are there? LOL, completion percentage. I'm going to get through the rest of the comments, then I'll go on PFF and I'll pull up the whole thing for you. Hennessy Heisman, I hope Dart slips to round 2, but I doubt it. TMA. Someone team is going to reach for him and he's going to be a 1st round pick, which I think is insane. 100 iTuber didn't seem incompetent to me. I had 3 interceptions versus the Vikings in inclement weather. Inclement weather, 100 iTuber, I was at that game. I was at the Vikings game. It's a dome. There was no inclement weather. That was in a dome, 100 iTuber. Funny enough, I was actually at that game in London. Still threw for nearly 300 passing yards from what I remember. Aside from that, the GM and the boneheaded pick versus the Steelers. A lot more than that. The 40. We'll go game by game here, actually. We'll do this. We'll do that. I'm waiting for the 2024 schedule. And then we'll go on PFF. I've done this with a lot of the Rodgers truthers before, and then here we're gonna 2024 schedule. Okay, 49ers game got blown out. Not particularly his fault. Broncos game 10-9, scored 9 points. Scored 9 points that game. Absolute mess. He got killed that game. Broncos, the Vikings game, just spoke of that. That was in a dome. You're saying inclement weather. And then I see you saying they played in England in the rain. It was a dome stadium, 100 I2. Yes, I was at the game in London. I was at the game in London. It was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is a dome. It was not raining. So no, that's not an excuse for his performance against the Vikings. Anyways, Vikings game was a mess. Didn't play. I think he scored 17 points against the Bills week 6. Blame Mike Williams. Steelers game terrible. Patriots game was a mess. Halloween game, I don't think he particularly played incredible. Cardinals game scored 6 points. Colts game, that was a good game for him. I'll give him that. Seahawks game couldn't finish. Okay, so Dolphins game, December 8th. Okay, took them to overtime, threw for over 300 yards. Jaguars game, yes. Rams game, no. Bills game where it was 40-0 and they had to put Tyrod Taylor in, no. Week 18, sure. So I think he played 4 good games four decent games this past season, and couldn't beat a top 10 defense. Couldn't beat a top 10 defense. And you want to pay this guy $49 million next season and $63 million in 2026. Also, we'll go quickly here on PFF, but I'll just, again, because I can't do it with the pretending like the metrics don't exist and we forget about the first 12 games, I'll just pull up every stat to prove that Rodgers was bottom 10. I'll share the screen quickly. PFF. I know I'll zoom in here. Minimum dropbacks 20%, so you guys can't use the excuse of guys with like 1 attempt or ranking high in here. So boom. There it is. Okay, completion percentage. He finished 34th, wasn't even top 32 yards. We know that. But yards per attempt, this is another very important metric. Where did Rodgers rank? Where is he? I think I missed him. 28th yards per attempt. Interceptions ranked 14th. Through 11, which wasn't too much. I'll give him that. Let's see. Turnover worthy play rate. His was relatively low. Okay, give him that. He had a low turnover worthy play rate. Adjusted completion percentage, though. 28th. Average depth of target. Where is he here? Okay, he's almost dead last. 36th. So yeah. Anything else you guys want to see on Aaron Rodgers here before we close this tab? Any other things you want to see here? Because Aaron Rodgers was a bottom 10 quarterback last season, guys. I hate to break it to you. He was. And the fact that you guys want to pay him $63 million next season and you're still arguing this is insane. It's insane to me. Again, I see a good comment here by Jimmy Jets. Let's move on from Rodgers. He's not going to be your cheese. Thank you. I just need to. Sorry if I went off there. I just need to prove to these people that Aaron Rodgers was not a good option for the Jets next season. He's not. Where were we? Where were we in the chat? JoJo Warner, who we're targeting in free agent. A lot of safeties, a few wide receivers. I don't expect any big games, though. I don't big names to be signed. Like, I don't expect any blockbuster moves like we've seen the past 2 years. Cartilo's Way in the house with a $5 super chat. I appreciate you as always. He gets a Jets chant. Jets, amazed at your skillful knowledge and amazed at your skillful and knowledgeable presentations. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Your future is bright. Cartilo's Way. Appreciate your support. Appreciate the $5. You're the best. You are now in on our super chat / membership raffle. You want to get in, you can do so by gifting a channel membership, or every $2.99 super chat will get you in as well. I appreciate all of your guys' support on the show. That's paid way, free way that everyone can do. Completely free, helps us grow so much. Is smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel. Completely free, helps us grow so much. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the draft, and you guys can be a part of that. Be a part of our journey here on NY Flight Jets Talk by smashing the like button, subscribing. You guys want to join our Discord, check that out down below. Stay tuned. We have a new merch drop that's coming up soon next week, so stay tuned for that. All right, we're going to wrap up here soon, so last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in, last chance to call into the show. Appreciate all your support here. As always, we're going to wrap up here on this Friday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. I'll be back tomorrow. I think we're going to do afternoon tomorrow. Let me check what time. 1 p.m. with Will Parkinson. I'll set it up a little later. 1 p.m. Will Parkinson from Turn on the Jets and Badlands will be joining us tomorrow. That's the plan, barring any unforeseen changes. That's the plan. Will Parkinson from Badlands will be joining me. 100 Tuber, and also when did Tottenham become an enclosed dome stadium news to me? I think I might have been wrong there actually. I can get it wasn't inclement weather though. I can almost guarantee that. It wasn't inclement weather. Yeah, I don't think it's a dome. Yeah, it's not a dome. Don't that was my bad. Don't quote me there, but it was not inclement weather. It was not. It like looking and sitting inside though, it feels like a dome. And when you're like outside entering, it is a dome. So don't that's my bad. I'm not familiar. I don't watch soccer. I don't know the soccer stadiums, but I was there. So that's my bad. It's not a dome stadium, but it was not inclement weather. 100 Tuber, like I said, the only issue was completion percentage because he doesn't force throws and had a shit O-line. That's a massive issue though. If your accuracy is bottom 10 in the league, that is a massive issue. He's also very immobile. Very, very, very immobile. And you want to pay him $63 million in 2026. Okay. He's a bottom 10 quarterback, guys. I'm telling you right now. Might not be what you want to hear. He's a Hall of Famer. He's with the Jets quarterback the past 2 seasons, but he is a bottom 10 quarterback at this juncture of his career. That's the sad truth. Appreciate you all tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, probably 1 p.m. with Will Parkinson. Stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys. As always, that'll do it for me. Tonight, I am your host, Connor Long, signing off here February 14th, 2025 on a Valentine's Day edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate all your support. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Connor_Long15. Connor Long, NY Flight Jets Talk. Wrapping things up here Friday, February 14th, 2025. That's all. Good night, JTS Jets.